Um,
Good morning and welcome to Sons of Italy Presents. I'm your host, Dolores Scalise, for this morning. I have a very interesting show for you this morning, so I urge anyone who is watching this show to stay close to your TV, take the phone off the hook, turn the volume up, pay attention, and enjoy this show. It's a very interesting story. And this is a story being told by a young man, Michael Mastroianni.
great to
Michael,
be here,
welcome
Dolores.
to this
Great
show.
to be
I'm
here.
so thrilled to have you on the show
No, it's
today.
my pleasure. Thank you.
I met Michael maybe a couple of weeks ago, and of course, due to the father, I know his father very well. But anyway, he was telling me about what his son is doing, and it just touched my heart when we started talking on our first preliminary interview. I just could not stop talking and really listening to what he had to say. This is a young man that really is very determined and wants to fulfill his dream of what he should be doing in the world today. So Michael, I am really thrilled to have you on this show today. I know that you are president of this company, non-for-profit, I might add, Action for Education. The title is very intriguing, and it can cover a lot of areas. And I know you've worked very hard in accomplishing all that you have accomplished. So let's start with your story, how it began, and what got you interested in this project in going to Honduras.
Yeah.
So pay attention.
Yeah. So back when I was a college freshman at the College of the Holy Cross, I was a biology major I was going for pre-med. And I was just checking my emails one day, and I saw an email from a student organization called Medical Ministry International. They were doing a medical mission trip to Honduras, and the medical aspect kind of caught my eye, and I also wanted to do an international experience. So once I saw the opportunity, I kind of jumped right on it, joined the team.
Perked your ears, huh?
Yep, perked my ears, joined the team, and that's how. And then we kind of went down there, and
So this is your first mission.
This is my
and your
first mission.
encounter with going to Honduras.
Exactly.
So
my first encounter, I was kind of, to be honest, personally, I was kind of in a bad time in my life, and I went down there, and those people really just caught my heart. They really touched my heart.
When you see those people, what kind of people were they? What did you see when you first got there?
So I remember,
were you impressed?
So impressed probably isn't the word, but when we first landed in San Pedro Sula, which is like their airport, all the airports we see here are really large, can be complicated and everything. As soon as we flew in, we were about to touch the ground. I didn't see any pavement to really land on. So at first I was like, where are we going? But then I got there, and once we got out of the airport, it was just really kind of a culture shock, because you drive down the street and there's families living in shacks, so just pieces of plywood pushed up against each other.
Really?
And that houses, it could house up to 5 to 6 people, and no plumbing, no electricity, no hot water, anything. So just seeing that kind of really blew me back.
So welcome to Honduras.
Welcome to Honduras, yeah. And then we had our clinic, and the people there, they were just so happy, and that was so touching to me, especially.
Where was this
at
clinic
that time.
located?
So we flew into San Pedro Sula, and then our clinic was set up in a place called Corquín Copan, at least for our first medical mission trip, and that was it's a rural area, so it was about actually about a 5-hour bus trip there.
And what type of work did you do there? What
Yep.
did they expect of you?
Yeah,
Who did you work with?
So we worked with, my first trip, we went through a larger international organization called Medical Ministry International. So that was the nonprofit we went through. They kind of expected us to go there every year. So they kind of knew we were coming. The director of operations for that organization kind of puts out broadcasts on the TV stations and the local radio stations, telling people we're going to be in this community at this time, and this is when your region of Honduras should come. So we get.
So this is to help the people.
Yep, exactly.
Out there with health issues.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And what was your first assignment there? What did you do there?
Yeah, so there I was just a freshman, or just finished my freshman year in college. So I was only a student helper at that time. But what I was able to do, I was able to kind of conduct triage. So we'd get the patients, they come into our clinic, we'd take their basic information down. I would take their vitals, their blood pressure, heart rate, height, weight, all that stuff. And then I would also gather a basic medical history. So like, what's bothering you right now,
So you did a little interview.
just a little
And
interview.
what were the health conditions of the people in that country at
So
that time?
in Honduras, there's a lot of, so the actual basic nutrition isn't that great. So coffee is huge in Honduras. So we'll get a lot of people who come in, they don't drink a lot of water, and their water's bad. It's contaminated, it has parasites in it. So they're not always very, they don't always stay up to date with their water intake.
Okay.
So
They're
they get a
poor
lot.
country.
Yeah, we get a lot of headaches coming in. We get a lot of just we get a lot of stomach issues like gastritis and all
Probably
that.
from the water.
Yeah, we'll even see things as crazy as polio, which is supposed to be
Really?
extinct. So we see a lot of different things that we don't normally see in the United States. For example, we'll get people who come in with a blood pressure of 260 over 180 or something crazy like that, where if you're in the United States and you go to your doctor and you have that blood pressure, you're pretty much going straight to the hospital.
Okay, so now tell me, how long were you there and what did you accomplish? How did you feel when you were there? Did you say to yourself, oh, this is something I really want to do?
Yeah. So the first time I was there for a week with our team. Our whole clinic lasted 2 weeks.
A week?
Yeah, I was personally there for a
Okay,
week.
that's not a lot of time.
It wasn't
to
a lot of
do
time.
what you have to do out
Exactly,
there, right?
and that was the feeling I got after I left. So at first you're kind of like going in like thinking, oh, I'm gonna do a lot of good this trip, and then you
Right.
get there and you realize, wow, there's so much that needs to be done, and you kind of don't feel as fulfilled as you originally thought you were gonna be, because you're just thinking to yourself, wow, like I can't really make that much of an impact when I'm only there for a week, or even when our whole team is only there for 2 weeks. Our medical director always like to use a saying where it's when we're down there, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a festering boil, is like he says. So you
True.
can't really cure everything everything that's wrong with them in just a week or two. So that really kind of lit a spark in me.
So 2 weeks.
Yes, it's
Do you feel you accomplished?
well, if you just go by the basic numbers, we treated over 2,000 patients. That's great. They don't see medical care at all throughout the year, or most of them don't see medical care throughout the year. We'll get people walking, a day with their whole family, walking, not driving, just to see our clinic. And that's pretty eye-opening to me as well. So it was really just tough to see that I couldn't do any more for them, and that's
So
kind
you-
of how this all.
Yeah, so
kinda
you were there for
started,
2
yeah.
weeks and then you had to leave. How many people would come to the clinic on a daily basis?
So we would say on average about 250 to 300.
Wow.
It could be as high as 350. It could be as low as 200. And like I said, we usually broadcast it to different regions of Honduras, so we know what region's coming on
So
what
you know
day.
what to
Yep.
expect. You know what to expect.
We have a
from
general
these people.
idea. Yep.
Okay, so you're there and you're there for 2 weeks
Yep.
and you're ready to leave.
Ready to leave?
And what did you leave with?
So I left with.
What feelings did you leave with? Did anything change your life at that time?
Yep, I felt motivated. That's probably the best word for me. There was a lot of, like I said, I was going through a tough time, and just seeing how happy those people were. Like I remember one old lady, she hadn't eaten in 5 days almost, and she was so happy though, and that really kind of just caught my eye, and I had to ask her. I speak broken Spanish, so I didn't ask her. My translator asked her.
I speak broken Italian, so I don't feel
it works,
bad.
right? So I just asked her, why are you so happy? I just felt like I needed to know, and she just said it's so simple to me. It was just, I have my family and I have God, and it was that simple for her. And at a time for me personally where everything was just really complicated for me, I really needed that simplicity in my life, and that really kind of just that moment and so many others really just caught my heart. And I wanted to do more. That's how I left.
So that's
there
how-
feeling.
okay.
Yep.
So when you got home, what
Yep.
happened?
So I got home. I immediately, talked to our team, our student team at Holy Cross, and was ready for next year. So I knew the present leaders of our student organization were graduating. I knew we needed some new leadership to step up. So I ended up taking a leadership role in our student organization at Holy Cross. So I was now the leader of the student side of our mission
So
trip.
you formed like
So-
some type of an organization?
So we kept our club going. So what our club did is we would get a lot of applications just from Holy Cross students applying to be in the club, and at that time for that organization we didn't want to take everyone. So it was actually a pretty competitive process to get into the club and then go with us. So I led our student club. Took care of all the application process, all the paperwork we needed to do. I worked with the college to make sure all the liability issues were settled.
That was a responsible.
That was definitely my responsibility.
On you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and
you
my
had a
other
lot
club
of
chair.
paperwork to do and a lot of rules and regulations to
A
follow.
lot
I
of
would
them.
say.
Yep. Definitely.
So there was really an outcry of people that came to you and wanted to participate
There's
in this,
definitely
right?
definitely
You didn't have
interest.
any problem getting volunteers.
No, we definitely
Okay.
interest on
So
campus,
what
yeah.
happened then?
So then we went down again. So for my second
So it's
mission
your
trip,
second trip.
went on our second trip. Yep, to Honduras. Pretty much saw similar-ish stuff. But then that year, I was already close to the director of operations for our trip, whose name is Jorge Encalada.
You mentioned him a lot.
Yep.
So he was
He's my
a big
man.
inspiration to
A
you.
big inspiration to me.
Okay.
He's been through personally a lot just in his life. Grew up in a really tough family life and was able to come out of a lot of things.
Well, life in Honduras is
It's a lot
really
tougher.
very touching,
It's a lot.
right?
It's
lot
it's
going on
touching.
there.
It's tougher. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of outside influences. That, there is here too.
So
but-
you went down there, and this is the second time that you
Yep.
went down. What was your purpose of going down there? Did you have a particular purpose that you wanted
So
to
going down
accomplish?
there, I knew I wanted to do more. I wasn't yet sure what I wanted to do in order to get myself more involved with Honduras and the Hondurans down there. But it all kind of just came naturally, which is how I really appreciate it now. So we had a one clinic day. It's a really long day. This particular day, it was really hot out. Had about over 300 patients. Me and Jorge, like I said, are really close. And after the clinic, we decided just to go to a local lounge. For lack of a better term, might be considered a bar, but it's really low key, very different atmosphere than it is in the United States. And we're just kind of talking, just having it's supposed to be a short conversation about just life in Honduras, how everything goes, and all that. It ended up turning into a couple hours long conversation. Me and Jorge, we just really connected at that moment. He told me about his community specifically in San Pedro Sula, Honduras, which has the second highest murder rate in the world right now. There's a lot of drugs and cartels there that really control everything. And so the education there and the economic opportunities there are pretty scarce.
And education is probably very rare.
It's it is, especially if you just consider how accessible it is for us here in the United States. I mean, there's about 30% of children in Honduras just don't go to school.
Because they don't have the schools?
Because they don't have the schools. Either the schools are filled to capacity. So in Jorge's community, all the children in his community, they didn't have a public school to go to. They just had nothing. They didn't have access to anything.
Oh, wow.
We were in the central. So think of his community as being in a central region. On the two neighboring regions, there's 2 public schools, and they're filled to capacity with over 13,000 students. That's a huge number. That's bigger than Shenendehowa here, which is always looked at as being the biggest school
Right.
district around here, and a really poor. Think of 13,000 students in a really poor region of Honduras. There's just a lot of influence of gangs and just really trying to take the youth away from these kids.
So what did you decide to do?
So Jorge told me about his dream. He's been working on it for 2 or 3 years. He was trying to open a public school in his community, and sadly, it's very hard to work with the Honduran government sometimes.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, how is the government to work with? Were they receptive to what you wanted to do, and how did they help
So
you?
originally with Jorge, they kept giving him little obstacles. So it was like, first find the students, and then he would do that. And then all of a sudden it'd be a new obstacle, like, all right, find the teachers. He'd find them. A new obstacle would come until finally they just told him, the only way we're going to help support, fund, whatever you want with your school is if you build it all yourself. And Jorge couldn't do that. He didn't have the funds. He didn't have any of the necessities that I really needed to get that done.
So step in, Mike Mastroianni.
So he told me that, and that was kind of a whim of the moment kind of thing. And I was like, you know what, let's do this. And it was definitely a naive moment for me because I didn't really understand necessarily what I was taking on.
You didn't know what you really.
I didn't really know what I was.
Right.
No,
you were
exactly.
taking on a very, very big
Very big
responsibility
project.
and an obligation too.
Yep. And
so what did you do?
so I told her, let's do this, and we kind of just talked it out. Then kind of came up with a simple plan. It was a basic plan at first, and I knew in the beginning it'd be really hard to raise money because I don't think people just want to give money to an idea, right? There's got to be some substance in there.
And you have to have some type of backing and some credentials to go with it. And
especially
Mike
with a young
Mastroianni was just a name.
A college student,
right,
a college student. You know, I was 20 years old at the time when I first started fundraising or started this whole project. So I got home from Honduras in August, and I started actually fundraising to build this school. Our original goal was just about $10,000 just to put up, 3-classroom school building that would, it would fulfill what we wanted to do the first year.
But before that, did you have to apply for any paperwork? Like, you just can't say I'm going to raise money for such and such a thing.
Yeah.
You have to be documented. You have to be a 501c or whatever the rules are out there.
So
what did you do?
So in the beginning, I wasn't a 501c3. So originally, like I said, I knew it was gonna be tough in the beginning. So I sent out just fundraising letters to my closest friends and family, hoping that I would get a little bit of money that I could kind of use as my base moving forward to kind of give me a little bit more legitimacy. So it didn't start well, I won't lie to you. And that was a really humbling moment for me, especially after promising Jorge, $10,000, which
discouraging.
is very discouraging. And I remember this one conversation with him. And after the first 2 months, I only raised $500. And that's not a lot.
$500 is not a lot of money.
And this was getting close to November, December-ish, and we were hoping to get the school started by February 1st, which is when the Honduran academic calendar year starts. Okay. So I knew I had a timeline, and $500 after 2 months was not very encouraging. No. And $100 from my parents, $100 from my grandparents, and $50 from my sister and her fiance. So
drop in the bucket.
Yeah, so
well,
I was
still,
exactly. So I wasn't doing too well at first, and I told Jorge. I came to a point where I felt like I needed to tell Jorge that it wasn't going as planned. And I'll never forget this conversation. I think it means so much to me too. He told me, Mike, I'm not worried. He told me that after only having $500. He's he has a degree in theology. He's very religious. He kind of made me he really made me a believer too. He told me, God's with us. God's gonna make sure this project happens. Didn't show an ounce of doubt in me, and that was really strong for me. And I really, after that moment, I was just like, all right, let's get to it. Let's figure out a way. And I started coming up just little things to do, and just like local fundraisers.
So you got to it.
I got to 1,500, and then I partnered with this other organization that was already a 501c3.
Okay.
It was a local Holy Cross alumni.
Okay.
He already had his whole nonprofit organization. It was called Students Helping Children Across Borders. So they did some sort of like international development kind of things. And so I talked to him. He's like, if you get $3,000 yourself, I'll give you $2,000. So I started and I kept doing those local fundraisers at the restaurants, businesses, and all that. Eventually got to $3,000.
And people were receptive to that.
People started becoming really receptive. Yep. And
their hands in their pocket.
I think they saw that I was really serious about this. That I wasn't kidding around. That I really wanted this to happen, and I really do put my heart into all of this.
Okay. So how long did it take you to get started on this building?
Yep.
And who did all the work on this building? How did you get workers and so on and so forth? Yep. Did you have to pay for anybody to come and help you?
Yep.
How did all that work?
Yeah, so after the first $500 we got, like I said, I told Jorge I was struggling, and I sent him that $500. And he was able, just with that $500, was able to buy some concrete blocks, was able to get just the basic foundation of the school down. And then he took a lot of pictures of it. What I think is the greatest thing about this school is it's built by the community. It's built entirely by the community, from kids age 7 to the elderly were
I
pinching
saw by
in
some of the photos
Yep.
that we have that we'll be showing too that there were children really digging trenches.
Yeah, I went.
And, you know, that is an eye opener. I mean, these kids wanted to be educated. They wanted
They
to go
did.
to school too, but they just couldn't afford it. And
did,
here
yeah.
you were giving this country and these kids an opportunity to see
Yep.
their dream come true.
And they seized it. That's for sure. Like
So how long did that take? And what obstacles did you have? And how did the government react to this?
Yeah, it took us 4 months to build this. It took us 4 months for me to raise all the money and for us to build the school.
Did it seem like forever though?
It did. We finished. It was when I go back to Jorge's story that God's with us. We finished all of the construction. You know, down to the last door we put up was done on January 31st, 2014. Which was the day before we were supposed to start classes. So when Jorge told me it's fate, and we finished everything we needed to finish the day before it was supposed to be done, on such a tight, it's not like we had a really structured timeline going ahead. We were just hoping for February 1st, and it happened, and that was like crazy to me. It was like, wow, maybe something really is behind this. When I was down, we paid 2 contractors down there, but we had about 25, 30 community members helping us.
And did they work
daily.
every day from morning until night?
They worked every day, pretty much from exactly morning to sundown.
And their children helped put this school together.
Yeah, they were. I went down December when we were or January. I went down during my winter break from college, and we had the walls up, but we had to fill in the classrooms with dirt. So we got a bunch of dump trucks came in, poured tons of dirt down, and we had a bunch of people shoveling dirt, putting it into the classroom. So I had at least 10 kids always around me, shoveling right with me. I would say they might have been a little bit better at it.
And just tell me something. What was the reaction like? I don't know what type of government they have there.
Yep.
What was their reaction to your doing this?
So they were kind of thrown off a little bit because they didn't really expect it to happen when they told Jorge. They expected the project to be dead in water. When they told Jorge that you need to build it yourself, they didn't really expect anything to come out of that. And so once they saw it go up, we got some support after that. We had one local politician. Her name is Gloria Milan. She gave us a lot of material donations. So she herself really started to back us, and that gave us a lot more legitimacy in the eyes of the Honduran government too. Because we had some people who were seeing what we were doing, seeing the impact we were having, seeing the community come together, and also seeing the need that there was for the school.
Okay, so maybe at this point we could show some of the photos that you have.
Yeah.
If Brendan will put that on the screen there. Yeah. Okay, this is, tell us what this is.
So this is the beginning of the foundation. So this is the very first steps. So after that $500 I sent Jorge, this is what came of it.
Okay, and I could see some of the other buildings in the
So
background.
that's the community in the background, yeah.
Okay, these are some of the students.
These are some of the students.
After they moved into the building.
So
this is the building?
This is the first year of classes. This is my first time coming down to Honduras after the school was completed.
And that's Jorge
that's
with
Jorge
you?
with me, yeah.
Okay, and those are the students.
Yep, those are
some
our
of them.
students.
And this is?
So this is the plaque that our school put up. It just says, founder Jorge Encalada, with his helper Mike Mastriani, and then a bunch of other people who are involved with the school.
So that was a really big day, right?
That was a very big day.
Okay,
yeah.
And this is
this is a concrete wall we put up. So in Honduras.
Why do you need that wall?
Yeah, so San Pedro Sula, like I said, it's a pretty violent area, and there's a lot of drugs and cartels, like I said, that kind of when they see people having this kind of true success, they kind of try to tear it down because they like to have the power. And when they see people doing it in an honest way, they just kind of get turned off by that. And so when they see schools like this, like our school, and like other schools in the region too, having some success, they do whatever they can to stop it. And so we were worried about local gangs coming in and maybe trying to drug deal to our students, which is a very, that's commonplace there.
Big problem.
Yep. So we wanted to put this concrete wall up to tell them, this is our school. You can't get in here. just establish that safe environment for
So
our
this
for our
school
children.
has been up and running for how many years?
It's been we're in our third year of
3
classes
years.
now. Yep.
And how are things going with students and with
Yep.
faculty? You have enough faculty
Yep.
to handle it?
Yep, it's going great. We have 350
You should be very
students.
proud of yourself.
Thank you. I am very proud of everyone that's doing this. so.
And I know there's so much more we could tell about
There
this
is,
too,
yep.
but due to time restraints,
Yep.
okay. So you
Sweet.
got this project done, and you should be very, very proud of yourself.
Thank you,
And all the
thank
people, all the Honduras people that helped you put this
Thank
together
you,
too, because they had a lot of faith,
Yep.
and that is very, very important.
Very powerful,
And you did this fundraiser, and you got the money that you needed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a graduation class.
Yep,
right?
this is the first grade
Oh my
graduation.
God.
Yeah, they're absolutely adorable.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, just quickly,
Yep.
you want to be working on because we are running out of time.
Yep.
You will have another project that you want to work on.
Yep.
Okay. And what is that project?
Yeah, so we got a couple of projects right now. So we got a medical service trip program. So
Okay.
going back to my time on medical mission trips,
Correct.
we start our Action for Education, my nonprofit organization. We started our own medical service trips. So now we're going down to Honduras. And we're doing things a little bit differently than the other organization I went with, try to make some improvements. And I took a lot of their model. And Jorge used to work for them, and now he's working for Action for Education.
Okay. And you are president and co-founder
Yep.
of, it's called Action for Education. And this is a non-for-profit.
A 501c3
So
tax-exempt
before we
organization. Yep.
run out of time,
Yep.
I want you to tell the listening audience out there, in what way, if any way,
Yep.
can they help?
Yep.
How can we help you?
Yep.
And what are the Honduran people out there, what are they doing to help you?
Yep.
To make sure that this mission goes on?
Yeah. So you can, if you want to, get in touch with us, we have a website. It's www.action4education.org. You can also contact me personally. My contact info should be shown as well. And there's a lot of ways you can get involved. Obviously, donations are always helpful. They allow us to pursue our projects. We're also looking to open an expense-free nursing school in a poor region of Honduras. It's headed by one of our vice presidents in our organization, our project director. They're working on that project.
And Michael, with that, I think that just so the audience would know, we will be doing another show probably sometime next week, and we can continue on with what is going on in Honduras,
Yeah.
what will be going on soon, because we are, I don't know where the time went, and I think this is such a wonderful story,
Thank
and you have so much to tell, and it seems though you're very, very passionate
I
about
am
doing
very
this.
passionate,
So you will be going back there. When will
Yep.
you be going back
I'll be
there?
going back in about 9 days now. I'll
9
be going
days.
back. So with our medical
For what reasons? What's going to?
Yeah, so it's our medical service trip. It's going to be our third medical service trip. So we're planning on treating over 2,500 patients this year. Hoping to fill over 5,000 prescriptions. I think what's really important with our medical service trips compared to others is that we have a referral system that we work with local clinics and hospitals. So with these short-term trips, usually organizations only give them a month's worth of medication, and then they're on
And
their
then
own
what
again.
happens?
Exactly. So that's why we set up this referral system where if someone comes in with a chronic condition like diabetes or high blood pressure or something, we can refer them to these local clinics and have them get followed up
But these
with.
local clinics, are they running all year?
Mostly they're running
And
all year.
staffed by who?
They're staffed by just local doctors, local nurses, all that.
So you work together with them
We
too?
work together with them to make sure that these people are getting follow-up care as well,
Okay,
so they're not just
alright.
left out to dry when we're not there. So we work with them, we try to have as much of a sustainable impact as we can. And our organization is consistently trying to refine our methods of how to make this most sustainable as well.
All right, now we only have like a couple minutes
right.
left, so just quickly,
Yeah.
I just want to reiterate that this is a 501.
It is a tax-exempt organization.
Okay,
Yep.
so you are a legal organization,
Yep,
and
New
anyone that
York-based,
is
yep.
willing to and wants to give donations could get in
Yep.
touch with you. The
course, yep.
website is on the screen
Yep.
there, the telephone number's on the
Yep.
screen there. They could do anything
Yep.
they want. You have accomplished so much.
Thank you,
and,
appreciate
and you're
it.
still just, a young man, and,
It's a
and God
surreal
bless you.
feeling,
You want to
yeah.
go on to become a doctor,
I
which
do,
is just
yep.
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, yep.
And God has really been good to you because
He's
He's
been
given
very
you the
good, yeah.
strength
He has,
and
yeah.
some money.
Yeah, you always
do
need that,
How,
yeah.
just quickly,
Yeah.
the reaction of the people there, their reaction to this school.
It's such a humbling feeling, It's they really joined together. I went down there to celebrate the first time I went down there when it was open, and I was staying in Jorge's house, and I hear a doorbell ring, you know, if you look online, you're not supposed to be alone in a house in Honduras. And I kind of, you know, obviously went against that. And Jorge's whole family wasn't in the house. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And so I opened the door, and there's 20 of our students just outside chanting my name, and I'll never forget that feeling.
Oh, that must have given
Oh,
you
absolute goosebumps. And they, you know, I had, you know, as many kids as I could fit on my arms.
You have another family out there.
I do, yeah. And they
Yeah.
escorted. Jorge's house is, you know, a couple blocks from the school,
wow.
so they walked us there. And as soon as I turned the corner, the whole community just starts shooting off fireworks, and
Wow.
it was really touching. Because at such a young age, I never really thought I could have this kind of impact, and I never thought that I could be impacted this much by people I never met in my life, people I can never imagine meeting
So
in my
can you
life.
imagine how much we take for granted here in the United States? Schools.
So
These
much.
kids don't really, sometimes they don't appreciate what we have here, the school system that we have here.
For sure,
And look at what they
yeah.
have there, which is just what you
Really,
have done
really
there.
put everything into
Well,
perspective.
you know,
yeah.
Michael Mastroianni, I really
Thank you.
want to thank you
No,
so,
thank you,
so
Dolores.
much
Appreciate
for
it.
coming on the
Thank you.
show. This will be continued. This is not the end. This will be continued. But, you know, tell your family, tell your friends about this wonderful thing that this young man here, with the help of the people from Honduras there, what they're doing to put together, make life easier and to educate young kids out there who have no other means of education because the government, they just cannot afford it. They really just
Exactly.
can't do it.
Yeah.
So they're depending on you. God
Depending
bless
on
you.
us.
Like I said,
Thank you.
thanks again.
Thank you so
I
much,
really
Dolores.
appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Dolores Scalise, and we are signing out for our show today. Thank you very, very much for watching, and continue to watch us.